Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen.
With me today is abundance teacher and money coach, Jody Lynn Craven.
This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Hey, Jody Lynn, have you been working out lately?
I have.
You have? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it paying off?
I think so, yeah. I feel it.
Well, I mean, it's important, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, because, well, you want to work out the body, you want to work out the mind, you want to work out the emotions, you want to work out your spiritual side, you want to work the whole thing out, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's how you maintain a high vibration.
Yeah, it's all connected.
So it's really appropriate today because we're being joined by an entire dojo today.
Ooh.
I mean, it doesn't get better than that. It's the Digital Dojo with Dana and Colleen, and we're going to learn more about them in just a moment. But first of all, Dana and Colleen, welcome for joining us today. Welcome to the show. Welcome, and thank you for joining us. And well, first question I have to ask you is, where did the idea of the dojo come from? I mean, is it really about working yourself out in all four areas?
We are so happy to be here.
We're thrilled to be here. Thanks for having us.
Much. And I think the dojo question is yours, sir.
Yes, wonderful.
Also, I never call you sir. I feel very official today.
Yeah, the digital dojo came from the actual dojo. So I've been a lifelong martial artist for decades and have been a student of the martial arts and a teacher of the martial arts for most of my life. And the digital dojo sprung from our desire to share the lessons of the actual physical dojo online to make it more accessible to people who may not ever have any real actual desire to step into a physical dojo. But the lessons are so valuable, the learning is so powerful that we were absolutely compelled to get those ideas out to the world as easily and as much as possible.
I love the idea, and I love what you're trying to do with it.
Yeah,
I especially love it in the context of what I personally have seen lately in martial arts circles, because I can remember back when the whole idea of martial arts being as much spiritual as it was physical was a big deal, and that doesn't seem to be as true anymore. And it sounds like that's what you guys are emphasizing. I am grateful to you guys for doing that.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for saying that, and I couldn't agree more. Actually,
Mr. Miyagi would be sad.
Oh yeah,
it's and I think when I got going, in the 70s, that was much more of kind of the zeitgeist that you're speaking to, and it's the return to that place is. So I always say that people start the martial arts for different reasons than they stay in the martial arts, actually. So I stayed in the martial arts for that very feeling and that reason, because it brought such tremendous value to my life. And I got to share in such tremendous value with others in such a consistent way that it just became part of my calling, part of my purpose.
That's fabulous. Yeah. I think that we kind of lost something when the whole concept of mixed martial arts fighting came in. That it did something to shift the cultural perspective about what martial arts was all about.
Yeah, it's so amazing that you say that, Walt, because many people automatically assume that I'm a giant fan of professional mixed martial arts and the UFC, and that I'm at every event and I watch them all. And the truth of it is that I don't actually. I've actually trained with and trained some professional fighters. I've trained some fighters and worked with some fighters at that level. And I will watch UFC competitions as an exercise of study. But as far as the dynamics of the prize fighting aspect and the competitive aspect of it, there's many things that are unappealing to me about that iteration, unfortunately. And it's spread martial arts and the awareness of martial arts to a larger audience, which certainly has its benefits. But I do sometimes wrestle with the message it's sending in comparison to the tradition of martial arts that I came up in.
Do you see that as a trend that's going to stay with us for a while, or do you think it's because the pendulum's going to start swinging back?
I think the pendulum's already started to swing back because when the mixed martial arts, when the UFC sort of got fundamentally popular, the view in martial arts was a very spectacle-driven kind of dynamic, right? So it was an event, it was a spectacle. It wasn't really a competition. Right. It was more of a spectacle is the word that keeps coming up.
Like WWE.
Jody Lynn, the alignment of the WWE and the UFC is like the model is very similar.
Yeah,
you're exactly right. And what I think is happening now is that instead of it being so an anomalous spectacle, it's now mainstream, ubiquitous, and kind of everywhere. Mm-hmm. So in a way, it's oversaturated. So it sort of turned down the spectacle power that it uses to draw people in, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of the pendulum swing, because when the UFC first came out, people were wanting to train and were excited to train because they wanted to be, tough and beat people up, essentially. Mm-hmm. That's not what the spirit of it was necessarily, but that's what the result was kind of predominantly. Now it's sort of swinging back the other way, where people are like, well, I have no interest in ever competing or actually ever being in a real fight. Mm-hmm. And thank goodness. But the physical fitness benefits, the mental and potentially spiritual benefits are starting to kind of take center stage again, because you've got, the influx of a lot of families that want to, mom and dad want to train, the kids want to train at various ages. So they're asking and reaching for it to be a little more wholesome than the, no holds barred, anything goes fighting roots that it started with. So I think that pendulum swing is kind of already in motion, Walt. I'm hoping that it is in many ways already anyway.
I think that you're probably touching on something important here. I would even go so far as to say UFC isn't really the reason why people got into martial arts to fight. I think that has a much more fundamental basis. My latest way to describe that is a term that I've kind of pieced together over time. It's the idea of victim psychology.
Wow, I'd love to hear more about that for sure.
And I believe that victim psychology has so heavily permeated all of society, and we're talking about globally, not just here in the US, but or even North America, globally, first world, second world, third world. I mean, it is everywhere. And it has been such a major thing going on because people identify with it. They identify, I'm such a victim, and now I have justification for feeling like a victim. Yep. And of course, one of the ways that you can literally combat victimhood is I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight my way out. So I think that's really where it's actually coming from. But by the same token, something I've noticed, Jody Lynn and I have talked about this a lot. We've noticed that there is a definite trend going on that moves toward, I guess, what I might generically call greater self-responsibility, a greater sense of let's develop me, make myself a better person. I am the source. I'm the common denominator of all my problems. I'm going to stop blaming everybody else. It's going to be about my development so I can live a better life. That I think is actually taking a greater hold on society, one little bit at a time. It's not happening quickly.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, I think part of what that does when you look at trauma psychology, and we use trauma psychology a lot in the work that we do, in the teaching that we do, but the definition we use of trauma is anything that you're not well resourced enough in the moment to entirely process. So that idea of victim psychology that you bring up, that's not part of it. It's just, I didn't have time to process it then. Now I can make the time now. And when you look at all of the F's, we used to think it was fight or flight, and then they expanded it to fight, flight, freeze. And now they're adding in fit in and fawn, or permutations thereof. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused, because all of those are trauma responses. Our nervous system says, in order to survive in this moment, I have to do one of those things. When we don't understand what that means, then we think, oh gosh, I'm just somebody who tries to fit in all the time. What's wrong with me? As opposed to, no, some part of me thought that was essential in the moment. Oh, that's interesting. Let me figure that out.
Yeah, I like that. That and to me that fits into the victim psychology thing as well, because that is a reason to think of oneself as a victim. I fit in this way. Now I have a group I can identify with, and we're all victims. How cool is that?
Very much so.
Yeah.
And victimhood sort of resides in an area where fundamentally, whether we're conscious of it or not, the way we would language is that it makes you sacrifice your self-worth, right? So you give up your self-worth being the view of your own value as determined by you in order to gain self-esteem, which is the view of the way that others value you, so that you can then fit in, that you can then be a part
Which is
of.
ironic. It's really ironic because, of course, true self-esteem has nothing to do with how other people value you. But that's literally how it's framed. You're absolutely right.
Very much so. And I think that feeds right into what you're talking about, Walt and Jody Lynn, the idea of, well, I have to barter and I have to trade off my value and meaning in order to be accepted.
Yeah.
We can't create a space where we're fully accepted for who and what we are and our unique gifts that we bring, but somehow we have to truncate that in order to be a part of the group, because being outside of the group is full of shame and suffering.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Really dangerous, Shailene. Yeah, it's really dangerous. And people are terrified of that isolation, which makes a lot of sense. I think fundamentally we're beings that are here to participate and connect. That's where value and meaning come from. So if we don't have any power to do that, well, then we're just subject to the vagaries of everybody else's opinions, and we have to do what they say fundamentally, not what we feel that's most valuable and meaningful.
And you're touching on something else that I think is an indicator of the shift going on.
Yeah.
Because especially now, especially with the younger generation, I'm noticing a lot more interest in connection.
Very much so.
Stories of kids who grew up with phones growing out of their ears, and they're putting the phones down to do genuine in-person connection on their own, unprompted.
Yes, it's true. So much so. I don't want to dominate the conversation, but that's such a wonderful idea. I'm so excited about it because, the synchronicity of the way things present themselves is amazing. I had a conversation with a really awesome 17-year-old the other day, and very much, just finished high school, getting ready to start her life and move into the world. And I'm blown away. And I guess that's the gen. I lose the generation
alpha.
Generation alpha, apparently. But a lot of those kids are want nothing to do with social media, Instagram, Facebook. They're just like, nope, don't want it. They're like, texting is ridiculous. I want to talk on the phone. They're like, can I just go back to a phone that was just a phone and actually a landline phone, because my cell phone cuts out all the time? They're listening to vinyl records.
Yeah, right? How about that?
Right? They're just like, no, this is. They're watching the generations that have gone before, and they're saying, well, this has just gotten too detached. At least, for us, we grew up without the internet for the fundamental portion of our childhood,
right?
And we know the difference. So we're in this lovely place where we can kind of really maximize the value of the technology as it presents itself, because it is amazing. It's allowing this to happen.
Yeah,
right? It's just amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely
Wonderful. But we also have enough, experience without it that we can go, okay, well, I'm going to turn that off now, or I'm going to step back from that now. Whereas there's a whole generation of kids who have literally been educated in this technology model and have never experienced anything different in their formative years. And then the generation that's following them is kind of going, oh, okay, well, we see where you guys are having trouble now, and we don't want to do that. And in fact, we're just going to abjectly reject it and move back towards face-to-face conversation and in-person dialogue and participation, as opposed to, walking into a Starbucks and seeing a whole bunch of young people sitting at a table, not talking to each other because their faces are buried in their screen and they're texting one another or liking each other's social media.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the day where enough of those alphas are born to the Gen Zs, and they're saying, Mom, Dad, put the phone down, will you?
Yeah, it's already starting, Walt.
Yeah.
Anecdotally, from what I can see and experience, and with our nieces and nephews, and those younger kids, that it's already starting, and it feels like it's self-initiated, like it's unprompted from anybody else. And these kids are looking up and going, yeah, this doesn't work. I I don't know why it doesn't work. It doesn't feel good, so I'm not doing it.
I had an 8-year-old in the clinic the other day, and their mom was sitting there waiting for them. And the child asked me a question, and the mom started on the phone, and the kid walked over, pushed the phone down, and said, "Colleen's right here. We can just listen to her."
Wow. Isn't that spectacular?
Wow.
Yeah. The wisdom of babes, right? Like the kids know, because they're not over cluttered to the point where they're disconnected from their own resonance compass. You know, they've got that highly keen sense of resonance, and they follow and understand that it's important to pay attention to how you feel. And talk about, you know, if there's a responsibility that we can all take on, that's one we encourage people to do. It's like, well, be responsible for being aware of how you feel. Pay attention to how you feel. That's your guidance system, giving you information about how you are in participation in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. Yeah.
And how cool that kids are actually just adopting that on their own.
It's fantastic. It's so I was never mind, you know, refreshed or reinvigorated. I was humbly grateful and powerfully moved by this young person I was talking to, and the wisdom that was coming out of her in terms of how she was going to apply these ideas to how she showed up in the world.
I think it actually points to nascent mental and emotional health emerging despite all obstacles in its path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
It's amazing. It's fabulous. It's wonderful. So we haven't actually gotten to what you guys do, though.
Yeah, sorry. Geez, I know. It was just you just laid out too many gems to not comment on. So I will let Colleen chime in on that.
We do a lot of things. Dana's a coach, and I do traditional Chinese medicine, integral medicine, and then together we do NAP and the Black Belt Mind. So a lot of what we do is get people excited about being able to choose how they feel better, which is why we were so excited to talk to you today, because that's your jam. That's what you're spreading to people.
Oh yeah. Just keep talking. We'll just sit back and go.
Yeah. We'll just enjoy.
That's a heck of an invitation. Thank you.
Yeah, because so many people just have been stuck in this idea that whatever you're feeling, whatever is going on, that's just your lot in life. And the idea that you can choose to feel better in ways that you hadn't known about before, it's exciting to people. And it becomes a lot easier for them when they realize they weren't wrong for what they were doing before. They were doing what they were taught. And then a lot of times they were doing what they inherited. We're working with inherited trauma quite often. But this idea of, you know, the Black Belt Mind stuff that Dana created, responsibility is a beautiful thing. It gives you the ability to respond no matter when, no matter what.
Yeah, how about that?
Kind of built right in.
Yeah, the ability to respond. I mean, I like the fact that you even mentioned that. I like to draw that connection myself, but I don't hear that a lot from guests. I mean, Jody Lynn, what was the last time we heard somebody actually say that to us on the show?
It's been a long time.
It's been a while. Yeah. So it's not something we typically heal. Well, we don't heal it either, but we hear it.
Right. Yeah. we don't. Yeah, we don't heal it because we don't hear it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right. I think what you said perfectly.
It feeds in a little bit. Yeah.
So we primarily work one-on-one with clients, individual. Like we both have our individual work that we do. We also work together with clients, but we as opposed to just one-on-one, we work with couples. We've worked with entire families. We do a lot of work with companies. I do a lot of work with integrity and leadership and executive training and communication. And we kind of just show up wherever we're welcome and are happy to, you know, share our knowledge and experience. And I think that's the model that we operate from, is that we're just here to share what our experience has been, to offer people options that, you know, might give them an alternative view of how to move forward.
Well, and the thing that I like about working in groups, because more and more now we're working with people online in groups, and we do in-person teaching as well, but this idea that you can be in, you know, any country and still tune in and be able to connect with like-minded people is amazing. And the idea of limbic resonance. So I go back and forth between traditional Chinese medicine. I love storytelling. I think storytelling is so powerful. My first couple of degrees were in English language and literature, so I'm all about the stories. But the science nerd part of me gets really excited about things like limbic resonance, because when we can pull out $25 science words, people go, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Better than a credential.
Right? So something like limbic resonance, where the limbic system of the people you're talking to starts to entrain along with what you're doing. And then as you lower your nervous system activation, they lower theirs. As you lean in towards healing and change, they lean in as well. It means that you get, again, like-minded people like yourselves talking, people get drawn in. It literally becomes easier for your brain to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And you made mention of the fact that you guys are involved in online groups. You told us before we got going here, you have a group coming up called the Happiness Pod. What's that all about?
Yeah.
Thanks, Well.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning it, because it's so, we're so looking forward to it. We do these pods. So a pod, like a pod of whales, just a group of people who hang out together.
Okay.
And it's a 6-week course. We meet once a week, and we're working on happiness and joy and all of the things. Dana's job when he is one of the most accomplished, I'm going to talk about you like you're not here. He's one of the most accomplished pattern finders I've ever seen. People will sort of go, blah, it's these 1,000 things. And he goes, no, it's this one off in the corner that, and I see their jaws drop and they go, you're right. And then I do the storytelling. I bring in rounds of nap where we allow people to, not allow people, they allow us to allow their brains to shift from the place they were to the place they want to be. It's and the really cool thing, we were designing the Happiness Pod because people were coming in and saying, well, I'm stressed because of this, and I'm anxious because of this, and I'm stuck because of this. And then they go, I just want to be happy. And that's such a rich place to mine and explore, because we actually talk about how you don't actually want to be happy, you want to be joyous.
Ooh. Say more.
Yeah.
Well, don't just stop. You can't just drop that.
Just drop that mic and walk away. Drop the mic and leave the
You
stage.
have to follow through on these things.
Well, I keep waiting, because every time we pause, the two of you say something amazing.
Yeah,
So
like I said, you're setting us up to hit home runs here. So it's really easy and wonderful. Thank you.
Well, if we're amazing, what does that make you? I'm just kind of curious.
Grateful.
yeah. Oh, that was good.
Appreciative. No joke.
So happiness and joy, the way that we use them, and again, people can use different words. These are just, it's nice to have a common language when we're teaching and when we're talking to people. We generally talk about happiness as an external thing. So you both have really great backgrounds. I love your background, Walt. It's just, it's phenomenal. It gets my brain going. And Jody Lynn, anything with books, I just go,
Oh yeah, I knew Colleen was just gonna make a comment about that at some point. She's like, books. I love books.
So
We
happiness,
both do, but she really loves.
I
books.
really do. And so the beautiful thing about happiness is external. I see the books, I get excited. We can talk about some of the titles on the shelf. Once the external thing goes away, the happiness goes away. Joy is an internal component, and you can have joy regardless of the external circumstances. And joy is this beautiful, complicated thing. You can be feeling joy and longing at the same time, or joy and grief.
Mm-hmm.
And
that took me a while to understand, but you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I'd be curious if that ties in with your experiences.
Oh,
Totally.
You want to go ahead, Jody Lynn?
Yeah.
I was like, let me tell you. Yeah.
Let me tell you. Yeah, I've never quantified it exactly that way, of happiness versus joy, or happiness in separation from joy. But I really like the way that you put that, because I think people struggle with the focus on, with your definition, happiness of like, when I have the car, when I have the house, when I have the money, then I will be happy. And I know for me, in my career of learning how to be a human, I have really gone through that. You know, as I was growing up in business, I was like, yes, hungry, got to get this. You know, I was, you know, boss babe, badass,
Totally.
like all of those things. And I was very competitive, and I would win. Like, I had an entire office full of trophies. And what I couldn't figure out, what the key, like, or turning point for me was, I would get the trophy or the thing. Like, there's one there, the medal there. And I was like, yes, in the moment, felt so good. 5 seconds after, done. So I had all these trophies that should make me happy, should, you know, provide this joy. And after it was done, I was already on to the next thing, And that's kind of how I was living my life in those moments, is the next quick hit of happiness, until I realized that it wasn't the things that would make me happy or not make me happy, or I had the ability to choose a joy from within rather than looking on the outside. I like the way that you put that.
You're reminding me of something that Robin Williams once said about winning the Oscar.
Yeah.
Winning the Oscar goes like this. First is, you won the Oscar. Yay. Hey, you won the Oscar. I saw that. You won the Oscar. And then it's, hey, yeah, hi, how's it going? And you were Mork, right?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a perfectly and very real and practical description of that descent. You nailed it, Walt.
Well, actually, Robin nailed it. I just kind of
but you nailed it by delivering it now, because that's a great example. And Jody Lynn, I loved everything you said there and appreciated how you said it, and really keyed into this. You know, as I was learning how to be a human, that's brilliant and true, right?
Isn't it?
Yeah, humanity's interesting.
Yeah,
I tell you,
it's a trip, right? It's a trip, and.
One of the fascinating things to me about this whole conversation is, first of all, that we're totally on board with each other regarding happiness being an inside job. It's one of the themes that we talk about here, obviously, quite often. It's also something that I'm kind of curious to see what your take is on this in terms of your own experience, because I have some idea of what Jody Lynn's experience is. With myself, like, if I'm interacting with people, particularly in a situation where maybe it's like a Facebook group that everybody there is trying to solve a particular kind of problem, they're dealing with the same kind of challenge, or maybe it's a public group where everybody's trying to, you know, maybe it's a class, everybody's trying to learn the same thing in the class, or something like that. My point is, anytime where there is a situation where people are heavily focused on, I got to solve this thing, it's the time when they're least receptive to the idea that happiness is an inside job. Which is really fascinating to me. And yeah, I don't exempt myself from it, because I was stuck in that space for about a 10-year period. So I totally get where that's coming from. But it's really fascinating when we're stuck on something, because that's really what we're dealing with when we're dealing with challenges. We're stuck on something. When we're stuck on something, we're least attracted to the very thing that will get us out. I mean, have you ever figured that out, Jody Lynn? I mean, why is that? We're least attracted to the one thing that would make all the difference in the world.
Well, I think for me, like what I've observed and witnessed is that we get stuck in like the logic part of the brain of like, it has to be something I can see, feel, touch, like this. Yeah, this is it. It must be it. It's in my reality right now. We get so focused on the known, the physical almost, that we just get stuck there. Oh, when I find the solution to the problem, then I will be happy. And I think that's what it is. We don't even have space. We got our blinders on and no space for the wondrous world of possibilities, billions of possibilities that exist outside of that one track that we can see.
That's a great answer. Yeah.
The billions part really resonates because, like you say, we only see the one track. We blind ourselves literally to the billions.
Yeah. 100%. We convince ourselves it's not there. That's not real.
And then we wonder why it is that we come to the conclusion that we have no power.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I haven't quite figured that one out either.
Yeah, no, I love where you're both landing and guiding us to. And thanks for, just to pause on this for a sec. Thanks for creating a space for this conversation. We have these kinds of conversations with each other all the time. We didn't see it in the world in the way that we experience it with one another. And that was a big part of our drive to sort of go, hey, well, I think there's other people that want to have these conversations. If they were invited to them, if they were asked to participate, they would, and they would happily and with joy and with lots of intent. And so we both just really appreciate the space to have a conversation like this. It's fantastic. And I think what you're speaking to, Walt, both of you said really beautifully, but that last point you just clarified, Walt, was, we wonder why when we give all our power away, we don't actually have any power. And we're stunned by that idea, right? We're like, well, I'm focusing on all these things that are outside of me and I'm making them more powerful, bigger, and more important and valuable and meaningful than I am. And then I wonder why I don't feel valued and meaningful, why I don't feel like I'm on purpose, why I don't feel like I have, something to contribute that lights me up. And
there's also something that goes with it. What goes with it is we are so good at giving it away. We can give it away, to use a popular phrase, we can do it perfectly so that we never have any power available to us.
That's it.
It's a tremendous amount of control to do, by the way.
It really is.
And while we're exercising this tremendous amount of control, we say we're powerless.
Well, hence that that very real phenomenon you pointed out earlier, Walt, about the dynamic of the victim mentality, right?
Yeah.
Where else can you end up on that track, where everything outside of you is more powerful than you, and you're treating yourself as if, well, I only have power that external things occasionally and accidentally bestow upon me. That's a tough gig.
Yeah, well, to me, it's just one more piece of evidence of just how powerful we really are. I mean, it has to be supremely powerful in order to pull that one off.
You really do.
Yeah.
You really, really do.
Well, and if I may slide in a neurology answer or a psychological answer, part of what happens when a trauma happens, anything that we're not well resourced enough to process in the moment, is our nervous system gets wired up and it says, okay, I made it through. I survived. Whew, I survived. Okay. I'd better go over that again and again and again and again to learn what I did in order to survive again.
Yes.
And every mammal in the world does that. It's super normal. It's just what we do. But the challenge is mammals will do it. They'll, the bear will lumber back and go, I ran into this human with pepper spray. I was just walking along and all of a sudden there was this pepper spray in my eyes. What the heck? But they'll reenact it. They'll spend their moments sort of trembling and shaking and getting through it. And then they're done. And we tend to do this thing where we cut that process short. We go, I don't want to think about that anymore. I don't want to think what else I could have done. And we don't give ourselves space to move to that moment of, oh, I can just move that chemistry as well by, I actually did survive. So whatever I did was probably pretty awesome. I can let that go more quickly. And I can lean into all those things that will bring me happiness chemistry, because when that chemistry cascades through all the adrenaline, all the cortisol, all of those things that tell us that we're in fight or flight, they just dissolve under that joy chemistry.
Yeah.
So learn, right? Yeah. So we learn our lesson, but also give ourselves that space to get through it faster.
Yeah. I saw a video that I think it may have been an AI generated video, but it doesn't matter because it was a great video. It was a video of a black bear approaching the porch of a house. And as the bear approaches the house, a house cat comes bounding out the door, jumps up and swipes at the bear, and the bear goes, "Whoa, I'm out of here." Now, the bear is outweighs the cat by about 5,000 pounds, but the bear is terrified by this confrontation. Oh my God, I can't handle this. I mean, that pretty much summarizes for me.
It says it all.
Like somebody who's in that psychological state of victimhood. It doesn't matter how big you are. I think your victimhood basically takes all your power away. And the bear
Yeah.
had all the power. The bear had the entire advantage, but you wouldn't know it by his actions.
Yeah. That's a great physicalized real world analogy that spells that out really perfectly. And well, both of you touched on around that, singular minded focus, right? I'm like, I've got to solve this problem. I mean, I'm using that gesture because that's kind of what happens neurologically and physiologically is we get tunnel visioned. And tunnel vision, in the way that most people experience it, tends to be a reactionary fight or flight recapitulation, right? So they even when we're in that space, we're like, no, I can't let this go till I think it through. Never mind resonating and feeling your way through it. We got to think it through. And that kind of puts us into a self-induced fight or flight, because in that narrowed space of our tunnel vision, we literally physiologically can't see other possibilities. All we can see is that thing that's right in front of us. The more we focus on that singular thing in front of us, it becomes less and less opportunity and more obstacle. As soon as it switches into that, perspective, and Call can speak to this really, really beautifully in terms of the science aspect. Like, there's real physiological endocrine responses go on in our bodies that put us in that fight or flight state, that scarcity mentality of I've got one chance and one option, and if I don't make it, I'm done for. Right?
I will die.
Yeah, that's it. Literally, that because those parts of our brain don't differentiate between what's experienced and what's perceived. We just think, well, okay, that I'm feeling as I shrink away from my own power by narrowing my scope of focus and attention, that this thing in front of me is becoming more and more and more dangerous. So the consequences and the stakes of not handling that danger get worse and worse and worse by the minute. The more we focus, the worse it gets. And that literally puts our bodies into a hormonally evidenced state of fight or flight. We feel the effects of that as if it really were a life-threatening situation.
Yeah. It's fascinating too, because there are lots of different tools, processes, methods that people have developed to overcome these kinds of situations. Some of them have been around for generations. Well, you're involved in martial arts. There's a great example of it. That's been around for, I don't know how long, how many hundreds of years?
Thousands
of years. Yeah, it's been a long time. And I'm sure that one of the reasons that it became such a popular thing was exactly this. It was a way of getting yourself into a better mind frame. They may not have defined it that way for themselves, but that's what the net result was. And that's what kept it going. That's what kept it growing.
You are right in the groove on that. I mean, and I will refrain myself, because being a martial artist lifelong, I'm also a martial arts.
Only since you were 3, and not lifelong. I mean,
a few years. Yeah,
that's 3 years that you didn't.
To walk course,
You might want to ask his mother about that. How much did he
really, I know.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
But I'm also a really passionate historian of martial arts, and there's a profound amount of truth in what you said there a second ago, Walt. And really, what's so exciting for me about martial arts practice and sharing the lessons have learned from it, and being shared with by other martial artists, is that martial arts were developed as a tool and technology. And I say it in that manner because proper technique in the martial arts allows a smaller person to balance the scales in a physical confrontation against a larger person, a stronger person, a faster person, okay? A person with a weapon. It's I mean, you can tell, I'm sure, by just how I'm landing in this. It's such an incredibly powerful awakening for a person to realize that if they build some skill with this tool, okay, they will experience themselves as more powerful than they ever thought possible. And then the beautiful thing about that is that when people really land in a sense of their own true power, they tend to just automatically become better people. And you would think that with this great advantage or this idea that, you know, I've got some superior technique or skill or technology over other people, that they would turn into bullies, that they would become exploitative, that they would become, you know, covetous of what other people have, because like, well, I can just take it from you. And I'm not saying that doesn't ever happen, but that ties right back to one of the things I touched on earlier. The reasons I started in the martial arts are very different than the reasons that I stayed. And it speaks to that idea where you kind of transcend that idea of like, I want to be tough and strong and no one's going to mess with me and I'm going to show everybody how proficient I am. I'm going to beat people up if I need to. And you land in a place, and if you're going to stay in the martial arts, you mature out of that and you realize that, oh, wow, maybe the simplest way to say it is, you know, this was an idea that was developed to help us handle the reality of violence. But as you stay in it, and as you allow it to enter you and inform you, it doesn't stay about violence. It becomes entirely about peace. And that shift is where the digital dojo sprung from. The idea is that we could share with people the sense that, you know, and it's all analogous, right? You know, violence to peace, reaction to response, you know, controlled by others to self-control. All those kinds of ideas are what absolutely infuse the digital dojo.
Yeah, that makes total sense, because at least from what, and I've never studied the martial arts, but from what I've learned from afar, from talking with other individuals, from, you know, watching movies and TV and so forth, the great change that happens with somebody is very much what you were just talking about. When they become involved with the martial arts, the peace that you were referring to, it isn't an external peace. They discover the peace within. It was there all along.
Very much
now
so.
they're bringing it out, because now that they have some measure of control over a situation where, you know, somebody's bringing violence to them, and they can actually deflect it in some way or keep it from happening, that brings peace, because now I can feel good within myself. Now I can feel safe within myself.
Yeah, it's security within oneself creates safety around oneself.
Right, one feeds to the other.
Yeah, absolutely, and they absolutely inform each other and enhance each other in ways that really are truly miraculous. Really, I've watched just some amazing transformations of people, and I've been privileged to be taught by people who have led me there, and then to be privileged to be able to embrace the idea of teaching other people that I could show the path to and lead them down that road. The stories I have over my years in the martial arts of people who have just blossomed in ways that they are stunned by pleasantly, that they were just shocked. They're like, wow, I didn't think I was capable of that. I didn't think I had that in me, are just too numerous for me to name, but they fuel the drive for us to just have conversations like this, right? To get out there and share and participate with people in this manner. It's really a privilege.
I'm about 2.5 years divorced after a 23-year marriage. And as you can imagine, it was a traumatic thing to go through.
For sure.
One of the things that has also, I won't say traumatized me, but very much caught my attention, is reemerging into single society and seeing what that's like 23 years after I left it.
Yeah.
And it is...
Culture shock.
It's a very cold shower. Yeah, it's like, whoa, what happened here? Like, in some ways, it actually got worse. And one of the themes that plays out a lot is, particularly if you're in a male group, if you're in a male conversational group, it isn't dominated yet, but it's close to dominated. The dominant belief that one of the most important things you can do in order to attract a mate is to be able to physically protect her. If you can't physically protect her, you are not going to be attractive to a female. Now, my usual response to that is, I find it's very effective to take my woman by the hand and walk away. But they don't really buy into that very well. So I'm curious to know what you have, the martial arts perspective, which is all about, you know, like you said, initially that's where people get into it. How do you address that particular viewpoint?
They just keep feeding me gems, boy. Yes.
I also keep thinking about, brief aside,
yes,
that friend of yours at the wedding we went to ages ago, where this gentleman, and I understand he was being a bit tongue in cheek, and he was being a little bit. This was just his personality, as he would poke at people, and he was just being remarkably rude to the woman that he was with.
Wow.
And remarkably, like overtly remarkably rude. And she sort of rolled her eyes and she walked away, and we were sitting at the same table, and I guess I just raised my eyebrows and like reached for a bite of my salad, and he looked at me and he said, well, what do you have to say about that? And I said, not my relationship. If she's happy, then, if she has anything she wants to discuss, I'll discuss it with her. And then he said, yeah, but you obviously have something to say. And I said, I didn't say anything. He goes, well, you made the face. And I said, I very well might have, because I'm just constantly thinking. So,
Yeah.
and this went on at a little bit of length. And then he turned to Dana and he said, are you going to let your woman talk to me that way? And I thought, first of all, I'm sorry, when did it become 1935? Because
Yep.
and Dana, because as long as I've known him, people look at Dana and he says, yes, we run a dojo, and they say, you have a black belt, and she says, they go, of course you do. They look at me and they say, would you like to get a black belt someday? I go, well, I have one. And they go, really? and Dana looked at him and he leaned back and he smiled, and the guy said, what? And he said, oh, this is just going to be fun, because because you think I need to protect her, or she's not going to be okay around you. But first of all, she's fine, and second of all, I know you. She's going to take you apart in 3 minutes without raising a hand.
Pretty much verbatim.
Because you're a little slow, buddy. Like, I love you, but you're a little slow. But he was just very friendly and diffused the whole situation quite quickly, and then he ended up being a nice guy. He was just that was his persona. That he
very much so.
I'm this tough guy.
A few glasses of wine around the wedding dinner, and he was off to the races. But it was a great example of response. Right? When you respond to people as opposed to react to them, it creates an invitation in a laneway that is much more mutually aligned. Let's put it in fancy terms, but really what it comes down to is it right to what you're speaking to, Walt. It takes a tremendous amount of strength to be responsive. It takes a tremendous amount of strength to be responsive and kind, even particularly in the face of unkindness. And anybody that I've ever encountered, and I've been and have worked with, professional athletes, soldiers, military veterans of all types, first responders, police officers, and anybody who truly understands the nature of violence, or has even looked into understanding the nature of violence, has to look within themselves in order to start that journey. And they're the least violent people you will ever encounter.
Yeah.
Because they don't play at it.
Mm-hmm.
Because violence is a very particular kind of communication. And people who know how to speak that language fluently are the ones who talk about it or look to create it the least. So in that space where you're, it's so amazing, and I love it that you were talking about, among groups of men particularly, right? And this sort of this growing zeitgeist of like, oh, well, I'm redefining myself as a man, and that means I've got to, right, be able to protect my woman kind of thing. Really, I think what masculine energy can do beautifully in terms of protection is offer women and children and other men spaces to feel emotionally safe. Because when we feel emotionally safe, we feel much less prone to being triggered and reactionary. And when we're much less prone to being triggered and reactionary, there actually is no need to protect anyone from physical violence, because it's not easily perpetrated in that kind of environment. I don't know how many times I've dismantled potentially violent situations by asking who is ever being agitated and triggering and aggressive and reactionary why they're so upset. Like, man, you seem... I spent in my university college days, I spent a lot of time working security. I was a bouncer at a lot of bars and different things like that. And I just often would quell, uprisings of people's reactionary behavior, anger, outbursts, ready to fight, by just acknowledging that they must not be feeling great in that moment. I'm like, what's going on, man? Why are you feeling so? What's happening for you right now? Stunning. I'd often get threatened that I was going to get punched in the mouth even more, but most of the time, people would just be stopped in their tracks by that. And it
you know all about that. You're a coach. I mean, that's part of what you do as a coach, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And in that space, right? Viktor Frankl says it beautifully, right? In that space between, stimulus and response, there's a space of choice. And when you give people an opportunity to go, hey, we could do that, but I don't want to. I don't want to fight with you. I have no desire. I'm feeling peaceful. I don't want to agitate that. I don't want you to not feel what I'm feeling. I want you to feel peaceful too. How about we just do this a different way? It's been stunning to see the impact of that. And I think if, we are being called to examine, sort of the traditional role of men and traditional role of the masculine, I love to inspire people or to introduce the opportunity for them to examine it from that standpoint. Well, not about being a big tough guy, but being a good man and protecting safety as opposed to material things or others from their own reactions, right? Let's create a space where we focus on making sure that people are feeling safe. And oftentimes that makes us understand, and just to wrap it up, that the person who's getting aggressive is because they're afraid most of the time.
That's right.
They're afraid of something. And if you ask them that, and if you ask and they answer honestly, and then you're able to ask them, well, what is it that you're actually afraid of right now? 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything is diffused. So I think that we can all keep each other safe much more effectively in that way than puffing up our chests and throwing fists.
Mm-hmm.
And this is from a perspective of a person who's spent a long time throwing fists and training and learning how to do it well, right?
I love that. It also occurs to me that there's a thing that goes on these days. I've encountered it in the singles men's group, particularly, where there's like one spokesman who comes forward who is the spokesman for the macho side, right? And they inspire other people to, if it's social media, to post about this, or if it's a group conversation to talk about, I'm the macho side is the way to go. Here are all the reasons why it works. Here's how you apply it, blah, 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 blah. And I found myself coming to a decision point. The decision point was, first of all, do I want to stay in the group? Mm-hmm. And secondly, if I do want to stay in the group, how do I want to counter this? Mm-hmm. Now, you presented an excellent way to counter it. I like what you said. What I ended up doing was a little bit different. I decided to simply stick firmly to my beliefs and to set boundaries around them, so that if the other person was saying anything that traversed that boundary, I'd say, you're crossing the boundary. And here's why I don't buy into the way you're crossing that boundary. Awesome. And it actually turned into, it wasn't a physical confrontation, well, obviously, because it was online.
Sure.
But it might have, it could possibly have been physical if we were in person. I could see that it could have turned that way. Mm-hmm. But I just refused to buy into anything that they were saying. And I started contradicting everything that they were saying. I said, sorry, I think you're absolutely wrong about that. I think that instead of this A, B, and C of macho, I think there's the D, E, F of beta. It's a whole lot more powerful. And I'd go in, they would throw terms at me. They throw, this is
all the vernacular
throw on you. So I'm going to put this label on you and say, well, hey, the label is actually an indication that my position is better than yours, and here's why. I would embrace what they were throwing at me. And a really fascinating thing happened. Others in the group who had kept silent started over time, after this confrontation happened, they started to emerge and to express their viewpoint, to the point now where the macho voice has almost been quelled.
Yeah, beautiful.
Because they're seeing that despite all of their efforts to bring everybody on board. We got to make everybody the macho man because that's how we're all going to get the girls. It's not resonating. It's not being picked up. And
I think it's because it's so superficial.
It is.
Like everybody is looking for safety, like you were saying, Dina. And I don't think having big muscles, like I saw this video the other day. It was like farm boys against gym rats.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the farm boys kicked the gym rats' asses, like head down. Like that was it. And you look at them and like the farm boys, they're a little portly and whatever. It's not about that macho, the muscle, I can beat you up. It's about being able to stand in your center and be strong and powerful and resonate that out in a way that doesn't make people feel like they need to fear you, like you're going to hurt them.
Absolutely.
That this is a safe space for them. I think that's like real masculinity.
I think you said that beautifully, Julian.
Well, and I'm so curious, Jody, then, because if you're, leading up to the work that you're doing now, if you were the person who kept going in and winning awards and winning prizes and being the top one, there must have been people around you who were less than pleased that you were winning. And how did that dynamic play out? Like, how did you work with that dynamic?
Oh, I was super masculine and I was very, I was very self-centered. I was very different than I am today. And not that I was a bad person, but that, oh, well, you're winning. People in my circle would use that the negative side of it to drive me because it would make me feel less than. Oh, it's just a trophy you got last week. Like you were in what? Like Robin Williams, you were in what?
Right.
And so that would like ignite fire within me to fight harder because I never felt like I had any worth at all. So I would come against these confrontations, if you will, of like winning, and it would be like I have to win or I'm nothing. So it was really hard to move through that period of time, especially when you don't win. Like I won a lot, but I didn't win every time. There were things that I didn't do well or whatever. And it would eat at me like I am such a horrible person because of this. And that trauma, that experience, understanding that the outside things, like we were talking about before, the outside things that create happiness, that is one part of the story, but not the entire story. That took me a little longer to figure out.
I mean, you don't look like you're 100, so I don't think it took you that long.
I'm a quick learner. I'm not 100. I just turned 40. Yeah.
And you wear it beautifully.
Thank you. I'm aging backwards.
Nice. That's the thing to do.
Yeah. But it's interesting because in all of my previous careers, like I started a career in safety in the oil field, and then I moved to finance, and now I have a brokerage company and I have a coaching company, and we have a farm and a million other businesses. We're serial entrepreneurs. But I resonate with this conversation of like being powerful and having to be like mean when I got into safety. Because I look really young, like I look younger than I actually am. And like when I was in my early 20s, I really looked young, baby face, like cute little cheeks, whatever. I'm also blonde, which I have always thought there was a stigma behind being blonde, and I'm bubbly. So like she's the dumb blonde. And I always felt like I had to be an asshole, or I had to be so strong for them to listen. And the more that I tried to assert myself in that dominating role, telling people what to do, the more it backfired on me over and over and over again. Like I would just run up against it every time. All these boys on site, all these men, they had no respect for me. Not only was I young, but like I was trying to assert this dominance over them to make them do what I wanted them to do. And then it shifted for me to realize like, oh, I don't need to be big like them. And I don't need to be strong like them. Like I have other skills and abilities that I can bring to the table that make me valuable and good at what I'm doing inside of this role. And the more that I eased back and allowed people to come to me and created that space of where they could ask questions and we could work on things together, the more I would see people shocked that I had a brain. For one, Colleen, you were kind of talking about that shock that you have, the black belt, right? I would just wait for them to come to me and ask me questions and then just pull something eloquent out of my butt. And they'd be like, oh, shit. Okay, great. And then I'd be like,
oh, she does know what she's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
well, that was unexpected. Oh, geez.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was so unexpected. This is great. And then they're like, okay. And then I could see that they would respect me. It had nothing to do with like how tall I am or not am, like, or how strong I am, or how many muscles, or that I'm a woman or a blonde. Like it didn't matter. The more that I placed importance on those things, the more I thought it mattered, and the more harder it was to get out of that. And the less that I focused on those things and really just focused on I'm good here where I am, the more of a result that I wanted was actually coming to fruition.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It resonates so powerfully with just some very simple things that we sort of not take for granted, but we speak on in the dojo all the time. The idea of, well, do you want to look strong or do you just want to be strong? Right. So you can focus on looking strong, or you could just be strong. Yeah. And one of the lessons that is so beautiful, like some of the best black belts I've ever trained and we've ever participated with, all the way up from like the competitors to just the person who's coming in to get in better shape and have a community to attend and enjoy their time with other people in a physical space, have been women. And part of the reason why is because women just tend to listen better. Okay? And the reason why is because they're not walking in with the expectation that they're going to have physical strength and prowess to dominate anyone. Right? So they pay attention to the techniques. You can teach a woman a technique and she will listen and she will watch you and she will model it and recreate it along the lines of what you were trying to show her. And then she will get feedback based upon her real world attempt and then listen to the feedback. It's amazing. Men tend to come in, especially, and we see it all the time, right? Where sometimes I will get, our higher level female black belts to, there's that young 22-year-old buck that just walked in who's an ex-college athlete and he's 6'2" and 225 and full of muscle and strength and vigor. Who men tend to come in thinking that they don't need to learn anything. It's going to be an environment where they're just going to show off how much power and strength and force they can generate already. Never mind technique. I don't need technique. I'm an athlete. I've got skill. I've got the skill of strength. So women, what women tend to learn to the dojo is that their ability can be enhanced by technique to make them feel and actually express in a more powerfully physical way than they ever thought possible. Okay? Yeah. And that men come in and they realize that their physical strength and natural, predetermined, physical dominance doesn't count for anywhere near as much as they thought it did. So that's an amazing thing to witness, right? Wow. When you see, a person Colleen's size get into a sparring situation and easily handle a man my size and have that man in a sweaty, panting mess after we're done the sparring, where she'll look like she barely made an effort. It's powerful. And then what's wonderful about that is that if that man can relax, and we talk about it as in if he can let the techniques in, if he can let the art in by being soft and pliable and humble, he's going to learn about himself and grow and become more effortlessly proficient than he ever thought possible. So these are the kinds of lessons that I feel like it's honestly, and not to be bombastic, but it's my duty to share with the world, because just like you did in your situation with the men's group, Walt, I've encountered that so many times. And you're a really beautiful example of, and you too, Jody, with your stories of being on the job site, with the oil patch, right? I've got lots of friends who've worked in that industry. I know what it's like. It's rough and tumble, but you both, whether you would put it in this language or not, hit a point where you clicked over and went, okay, well, do I want to look strong, or do I just want to be strong? I'm just going to be strong. And it reorientates our intention and our perspective of what's possible in any environment, and how kindness and mindfulness trump force and aggression and power pretty much every time.
Wow, that's the summary of the show right there.
Didn't even mean to do that. I'm so engrossed in our conversation. That's wonderful that was a happy synchronicity there that showed up.
Well, I'm glad we got. I mean, because the hour's up. I'm thinking, well, this is another 2 hours, and we can't do that. So I'm glad that you found a way to tie it, because otherwise I was in trouble.
I'm stunned that it's been an hour.
Yeah,
It's amazing, and it's always the case that when we're most surprised, it's because we've had the most fun.
I'm stunned. I haven't looked at the clock at all.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It just flies by. The only ones there are too many of these. The only ones that really go slowly are the ones where Jody Lynn and I are like gritting our teeth, because the guest is just so one-dimensional. We just can't get them to go anywhere.
Sure. Yeah.
Can't go fast enough. And are we close to the end? Oh, it's only 15 minutes. Oh no.
7 minutes has gone by.
Yes. It feels like 8
Not
hours.
today, though.
5. I don't know.
Yeah. Not today, though.
Well,
today
amazing.
went by
And
fast.
feeling is mutual.
absolutely.
Tremendously mutual. It's lovely to have the time to actually get into this level of detail and depth that we've been able to today, and that's why I'm stunned that it's an hour.
I know he's going to be chatting about this the rest of the day, and then Walt said this, then Jody Lynn said this. I know, I was there. Yeah. He'll be excited all day.
Well, if you're going to replay something, it might as well be that. You know,
that's true. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's the stuff to replay.
It just reminds me that, having studied, practical applications of violence for a long time, it just reminds me that the best way for us to make ourselves impugn to violence is to eliminate its necessity. And in spaces of connection, anybody who shows up with aggression or violence or trying to dominate, nobody reacts to them. They just all kind of step back and look at them in a kind of a stunned way and go, what are you doing? We don't know that. We don't do that here. So you can join us, or you can go over there and do that. But this space of connection is really what makes us violent proof, actually. That's my humble opinion from my experience.
So the name of your pod that's coming, the Happiness Pod, and that's a group that's going to be starting when? When's? Give us the details on all.
Yeah, that's going to be starting September 18th, I believe.
That's right.
And it's going to be once a week, 2 hours on a Thursday night. And one of the things that I really love about the work we do in the pods, I will jokingly say, we'll gather information from people, see what direction everybody wants and could really be served by going in. Then I will often turn to Dana and say something smart. That's his job. And then
I feel the pressure every time.
And then we do rounds of nap, and it's a really easy repeat after me. I always call it a game where we get to go back and reclaim all of the things where we felt powerless and didn't realize we had capacity, when we felt like the world was happening at us or to us, or we're ashamed of the choices we made. All of those things, we get to go back and reclaim them and reframe them.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Excellent. So, and somebody who wants to look into that, how do they find you guys?
Yeah, they can go to thedigitaldojo.net, and we've got the upcoming pod up there. We've got tons of videos up there. We always want to make sure that we have information for people, no matter, if they're like, I'm not sure what I think of you guys, I will listen to you for 3 minutes in one video. Great. We've got tons of videos, tons of ways in. and all the places where the things that we're so afraid of, right? Looking back and going, oh, I used to do this. That's okay. Right. That's part of, I think, the work that you're doing. And it's absolutely part of the work that we choose to do. It's going back and saying, you're not broken, you weren't broken then. You were doing what you knew. Let's go back and figure out what in there was useful and how you want to make that more powerful and more joyous moving forward.
Yeah.
What a great way to express appreciation that is.
Easy to do in this environment, both of you. Thanks so much. You've honestly, I find spaces like this of safety and comfort a great joy to participate in, and this is where the our evolution is going to come from, right? It's like these small groups, these small pockets of safety and comfort where we can just land, be ourselves, engage and participate with some joy and have some fun and share some important things. It gives me a lot of hope. So I appreciate you both, and I appreciate the space to do that, because this is the way that we're going to settle what feels like this incredible amount of turmoil and chaos that's going on in our external world right now. The solution is coming from spaces like this.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that one. You guys were telling us before the show, and I think you kind of alluded during the show, that you checked out some of our previous podcasts, and so you know that we have a couple things that we do at the end of the show. One of them is I go to Jody Lynn because she's amazing, first of all, and second of all because she's really good at this, to kind of tie the whole thing together. Jody Lynn, you got lots of material today.
I know.
How are you tying it together
We aim
today?
to over-deliver.
I think this is Walt's version of "and say something smart."
Yes.
Say something smart. Yeah, that's right. And also, Odina, I always feel a little bit of pressure too, but
Right?
I run on that.
I know
I'm
you'll
gonna
give
pick
it your best, Jody Lynn.
Yes, I'm going to pick up on something that you guys said, and I'm going to butcher it. I'm sorry, Colleen. But you had said the space between, and there were some other words in there, whatever equals choice. That's what I wrote down. And I think this conversation has been a beautiful reminder of that space between action, the space of this conversation, the space of the breath, the space of simply being, and the space inside of that space, having the ability to choose another possibility, choose happiness, choose joy, choose love, and really choose the authentic power that comes within of choosing yourself. So thank you for that beautiful reminder today.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to make that my new ringtone, what you just said.
No.
Please do.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It's
Thank
been
you.
super easy to make that choice in the presence and the company of you both.
Thank you.
Well, I've got one more thing to share, something that I've been doing for the last few years because of the era that we live in. I noticed that we do something that we don't really pay much attention to. We're all sharing now. I mean, that's a common denominator of anybody who appears on the show. But it's also something that plays out a lot more in broader society. There's a lot more sharing that goes on. It happens largely because of the internet. I mean, that enables it more. And we end up sharing things like you have your happiness pod, you have your pods that you do, but you also did this podcast, and you probably do other podcasts, and you probably post on social, and you're doing all this stuff to share your message with people that you've never met, and you don't know what they're doing with it. And the thing that I noticed is people benefit from that, and we don't get credit for it. So Dana and Colleen, on behalf of those people you've never met, never seen, never will meet, never will see, who you've been helping in ways you didn't even know about, on their behalf, thank you for what you're doing, because you're making a difference.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you both. That's
Thank you
amazing.
very much. That's lovely.
Yeah.
And
Deeply grateful for those words.
And for you doing the same.
Yes, absolutely.
You were much more eloquent.
Right back to you.
Thank you for you doing the same.
That's just years of practice. That's all it is. You make enough mistakes over time, you actually get good at something,
Sure, right? But you have to be willing. You have to be willing to fail first. You have to be willing to make those mistakes first, right? And that's how you know you're actually learning.
I'm proud of the fact I'm really good at failing. I'm like really, really good at it.
Well, we say in the dojo all the time, the transformation that goes from white belt to black belt is this. It teaches you to understand the value of not win or lose, but win or learn.
Yeah.
And with that focus, you can build the kind of capacity and skill and an experience of your own courage in ways that will blow your mind consistently, right? Fantastic. Be willing to win and learn, because then really learning is just another form of winning. So you're never really losing ever.
That's true. Yeah. I love that. So thank you, Dana and Colleen. Thank you, Jody Lynn, as usual.
You're welcome.
Thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.